Hello and welcome everybody to the next GRL podcast. It's another episode of the GRL podcast, and this time we'll be reviewing the Italian Grand Prix at the Temple of Speed at Monza. There were many question marks about a scruffy turn one, many safety car periods, DRS drains that might end in carnage, but overall I think our drivers managed everything really well, and we had some very interesting races, also some wet races with either intermediates or full wets. So that was definitely interesting, as Italy isn't really known for too much rain. Usually just a sunny country. But yeah, as said, there were mixed conditions all over the 7 F1 grids, and also the 7 grid, but yeah, I'd say we come to the F2 later, and we just head over now to Division 1. So first off, as every week, we'll start with Division 1 for this week's race at Monza. It wasn't a sprint, as said, and this week it was only qualifying and 50% race. And I think many people in the GRL community will be happy seeing this on screen, because for the first time this season and ever actually, it was Beeford who picked up his first race win of the season, obviously. From Drazzy, so it's round 1-2 or GSR 1-2, whatever you want to call it. Wilson picked third, Sora only P4 with some crucial steward report after the race, Blade in P5, Marky in P6, Partig in P7, Retreat in P8, Michael Dale in P9, and yeah, you see correctly, Beatie in P10. So looking at the driver standings, at least it got closer this week. Sora now leads 25 points from Beeford, because Sora's on 189, Beeford on 174, Blade behind 137 with Bradley 11 points less, and like in previous weeks, got behind them Ninja, Rain, Michael Dale, Partig, Rage, and Aaron in Romeo. The team standings, Williams still leads by 4 points from Red Bull, so Drazzy and Blade doing well so far, while Michael struggle at least in the team standings. Alfa Romeo exactly 200 points after pole position for Alex Barber. They couldn't pick up any more points in the race. Mercedes with B4 and is currently with Kiwi 178 points. McLaren 1-4. Then we've got Alpine and Aston Martin split by 10 points. And at the bottom, Haas, Ferrari, and Ferrari in last with 30 points only. Well, Blade, I've been a new race winner. You probably won't be too happy about it considering the championship, but overall I think it's definitely good that Sora gets closed down a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, first of all, happy to be back. Clearly, I did such a good job in the last podcast that I came back again. So, no, but yeah, jokes aside, yeah, it was an interesting race. Started off very wet, I think, and then I think it dried by the end. I don't actually remember. But yeah, obviously, brilliant race by Beeford. I think he did very well, whilst everyone else around him didn't do so well, like Drazzy and Marky Mark crashing behind the safety car, and myself giving myself a pit lane speeding penalty. Oh no, I didn't. I got a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car. So me saying I'd win next week last time out did not end so well. But like I said, it would.
Like
but yeah, it certainly did. But no, I think even without all that, I think Beeford probably was the favourite to win the race anyway. So yeah, very good job. And obviously, of course, I want to be the one winning the title and all the races, but it's nice to see Beeford up there, because I think it's been a long time coming. With the race win, he's been week in, week out, performing extremely well, extremely consistently, and finally he's rewarded with the win he deserves. So well done to him.
Yeah, definitely. And as you said, considering the championship, it's a little bit closer now. Still 25 points, but with a sprint weekend ahead at Imola, and both of them being in between 25 points, that's definitely possible. Especially, as you said, with the penalty for Sora. He got 2 warnings, which means he'll have a quali ban next week. So that's going to be, I think, very interesting. Especially attendance for next week already seems quite a bit better. So he'll likely have to get past a couple of teams there to still come out on top after this week. And played in the team standings. I mean, Williams still leading. Do you think you and Drazi just have a slightly better package, or is it just that Michael struggled a little bit recently for Apple? Or what's your thoughts on the constructors right now?
Yeah, it's very close. I think probably me and Drazzy, out of the drivers who tend to turn up every week, are probably the strongest lineup. I think if the Alfa Romeos constantly turned up, they'd definitely be a threat. But yeah, I think obviously Sora's scoring a lot of points for Red Bull, and Michael, I think he attended, but sadly, I think he crashed out, or at least he didn't finish the race, so
Yeah,
not too helpful for them in the constructors. But obviously, I don't think me and Drazzy will be relaxing anytime soon because there's only 4 points in it. So yeah, I think it's important to keep our heads down and try and get as many points as we can if we want to win the constructors and the drivers. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the team standings, you're right at the sharp end. In the drivers, it's still a little bit to gain. And we talked so much about you so far. Surprise, surprise, Beachboard is here as well with us. Hello, first of all, thanks for joining us.
Hello. Yeah. All good, all good.
Everything good when we're talking about Division 1 usually, especially if Sora didn't win recently. I mean, first win of the season, I remember on the podium interviews, you were quite calm, but I think it must have been quite a relief after 13 races to finally win a race.
Yeah, definitely, especially after this season. I've had a few chances to actually get the win. Like in Australia, I actually won on the track, but lost it because of the penalty. So it's good to finally get the win now. I mean, was it round 14?
13.
Got the win? 13. It only took 13 rounds, but got there in the end. Better late than never. And hopefully I can start putting a bit more of a challenge on for the title now because I have a bit of momentum. And still in my good run of tracks until the back end of the season is my not as good tracks. But hopefully I can get myself in a good position to fight with them in there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end with tracks like Bahrain and Brazil, who are usually not too bad for pad users as well, but Monza work quite well for users, especially Drazzy and Elf. I mean, as said, Sora now will have to start at the back of the grid. It would currently be, I think, around 17. It's crunch time now. It's hammer time after Hamilton.
That'll do.
I mean, do you think with a win this could really spike things up again? Because as said, with Sora at the back, this is probably your biggest chance so far to gain the most amount of points this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it depends who else races. I mean, I don't know what Blade's pace is like. I know Drazzy's very quick at Imola. I mean, if Rage races, he'll always be up there, the Alfa Romeos. So there's a lot of quick people, and people, especially in qualifying, are quicker than me over one lap. So I just need to try and get myself up the field. And obviously, Sora always said been like around P17 estimated. So it would be interesting because just got in terms of momentum, yeah, definitely. Because I had a good run of form, so hopefully keep it going and keep shaving the points off. What's the gap now?
The gap 25. Is, I think, exactly 25 points, yeah.
I'm within a DNF, so that's all I can ask for.
I mean, it's a sprint week, so that's a nice spot.
It could do, but it's not enough points to make a massive dent unless it combines with the race. I have to put it all together.
Yeah, probably would need a Sora DNF for you to somehow lead after Imola, which would be close to a miracle after, I think, a second, a first, and another first. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything said so far from this week's race of Monza Division 1. I mean, it's still quite a couple of gaps, as Blade and me said. As a Ninja and Rain dropped off as well. I'm sure some of your title contenders will try to close the gap to Sora in Imola. So that's going to be very interesting. So as I have two division drivers with me, I still want to know their predictions on who they think will come out on top. Let's start with Blade.
Who will come out on top? Well, I mean, I think ultimately now it's a really for the title between it's between the top four, and I think it's well, every race Saurus outscores us. It's looking worse and worse, but yeah, I mean, I think mainly if I'd be totally honest, which it pains me, but I think really it's down to Sora and Beeford. Yeah, we'll have to see how the end of the season plays out. Maybe they can. I'd love it if they'd get in a couple tangles towards the end of the season, so it can bring one of us Williams boys back up to the front. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say who I'm gonna put my money on because I'll probably curse them and they'll DNF for the rest of the season or something, and the other will win. So yeah, but I think those two right now are in the best form, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them come out on top.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And Beeford, who's gonna triumph in Imola then?
Well, there'll be no point in race if I didn't back myself, so I'll go myself.
That aged well last week with Blade. Who am I gonna pick then? Let's go for Blind. Let's alone retreat. He was quick as well. So probably Sora will win in the end. But yeah, that's Division 1 for this week, as said. And let's head over now to one of the closest divisions, to Division 2. Well, next up we are on the Division 2 campaign here with Ghost Junior this time winning the Italian Grand Prix. He got closely followed by DISTANTBARD, who didn't struggle with porpoising, but rather flying around. Torpan in P3 after getting pole position by 1 millisecond, but with being on the hards and the second stint, he couldn't form that pole to race win. Omalo finishing 4th. Myself keeping up the top 6 finishes in P5. Jackster P6 after a penalty. Otto P7. Stealth in P8. Dan in P9. And Zeech after joining late in P10. Let's have a look onto the driver standings after that. So Slappers obviously still leads with 23 points now. So DISTANTBARD with a win at Imola next week definitely has a good chance to take that lead away from him, because obviously after round 14, which is Imola, Slappers will return to Division 2. So we might finally get our championship fight in Division 2. Jackster then already over 30 points back on 127, and then the best of the rest fight between Otto on 93, myself on 91, and Lloyd on 88. So he got passed by both the Alfa Romeo and myself in the Red Bull. Ghost Junior climbs up to P8 on 65 points, same as Panos, so he loses due to having worse results than the Williams driver, and Codename Delta in P10. Finally, in the constructor standings, Alpine still leads the way with almost 80 points, or actually over 80 points as gap to Ferrari. Then we've got Red Bull in second, ahead of Aston Martin and Mercedes, with Alfa Romeo following and still having a small chance on picking up the third place. Williams on 83, Haas on 78, AlphaTauri on 64, and McLaren last on 48. Well played. It wasn't Distant Bard to make the hat trick. It was Coded Ghosts this time, after making his full-time comeback, let's say, for Williams. So that's definitely good for your team in the overall constructors. Yeah, what do you remember from that race, pretty much?
Yeah, well, obviously, first of all, well done to Coded Ghosts. I'm very happy as a fellow Williams driver. And yeah, I mean, Bard clearly, Bard was flying, but not in the good sense, sadly. Well, luckily, though, thanks to a restart, he managed to bring back a P2, which is very good for him in the championship. And yeah, obviously, I think he'll be looking to win one more time in Imola to be able to close that gap completely to Slapbus. But I think with the form Slapbus was on before being promoted, it's going to be quite ominous for Bard. But Bard has had incredible form as of late, and I'm sure he'll be looking to take it right to Slapbus all the way to the end of the season. So yeah, will be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Slappers is definitely a tough opponent. But I guess so Spart, as you said, he picked up his first race win, then he made it the double last week, and now another second place. So many points he scored recently, but now I guess many people ask themselves the question, if Bath potentially wins the championship now, is it that fair? Because Slappers was away for 4 races, which he potentially could have attended. The last 3 he didn't, though, in Div 1. This might probably play more in Bart's hands, saying, yeah, to be honest, if he didn't attend the Div 1 races, he also wouldn't have attended the Div 2 races. What do you think in this case?
Yeah, well, I think, if Bard does win the championship over Slapbus, I don't think you can be like, oh, uh, Bard didn't deserve the championship because he had to get those results,
Yeah.
You have to take advantage of every opportunity you're given, and if that opportunity is obviously someone being promoted and then demoted again, you can't take that away from Bard because it was out of his control completely. So, yeah, I think it spiced things up though, because obviously it's not like it's ruined Slapbus's championship. It's just, spiced things up a little. And obviously, Slapbus, he's a great driver, and he's had chances to prove himself in Division 1. But obviously, when he returns, I'm sure it'll be very close. So.
Yeah, I mean, he already said he's eager to return to Division 2. So despite having that big lead earlier, it really seems like he's still on fire to pick up this title, which especially if you are Division 2 and that close to that Division 1 step, it's usually um quite rare that someone is that hot actually to win this title, because they might take it easy, but he definitely isn't. He wants the title for Ferrari. Um, but yeah, one last thing, as we said in the last couple of weeks, I mean, Alpine got 2 drivers up there, but the more time flies by, it looks like the 2 camps in Alpine just have a huge gap between themselves, considering the championship, because recently they're simply not working together when they can. I mean, um, they just seem to have really split teams. Actually, it's a one-man team each. Do you think that's normal at this stage? Because I mean, Jack's already 30 points behind. I mean, of course he can gain back those points, but do you think it's kind of drastic, this actual phase between those 2 drivers?
Yeah, well, I think for 30 points advantage to Bard isn't really that big of a gap. Of course, it's over a race win, but you never know what can happen in league racing. So yeah, I don't think it's like a massive gap, and I'm sure Jackstar will be looking to claw back some points because he's definitely capable of doing it. But he definitely needs to perform very well in the next couple of races with Slapbus coming back. So I think for him it will be the next couple of races will be very crucial, to see whether he can return back to the top, back into the fight in the title, or whether Bard it will be two-way battle between Slapbus and Bard. But yeah, also we don't know. Obviously, Slapbus hasn't raced in GRL for a little while, so you don't know what form he's going to return with. Maybe he won't be as competitive as he was at the start of the season. So yeah, I think definitely we have a three-way battle for the championship. But if Jackstar doesn't get better performances like he was at this in the middle of this season, it might be a two-horse race.
Yeah, I think that sums it all nicely up for Div 2. And like I did in Division 1, Beeford obviously left us already. I'm gonna ask you, who do you think might win the main race at Imola?
Yeah, so I'm not too sure. Well, I know Bard is very quick in the rain, so if there's some rain, he has a good chance. Codded Ghost as well for the Williams camp. He's been very quick after returning, so you can't count him out. And obviously, you're looking to take a win in Div 2 as well. So if you attend the race, I think you could be up there as well. But I think there's definitely a lot of names in Division 2 that could take the win. So it's always exciting to see who will come out on top.
Can I get any specific name out of your mouth, or is that just...
Oh, any specific name? Well, I mean, I'd love it to be Coded Ghost, but I'll say Jackstar will win the next race. I think he'll be
Ooh,
motivated to bring back
with a sprint
the
as well,
points
a Jack
deficit. Yeah,
sprint. That's gonna spice things up for sure. Especially, yeah, with both Alpines doing well, that could be interesting in the end. And Slappers might
yeah.
not have one, but two rivals, both in the same car. Well, I guess I gotta say something now as well. Let's go. Come on, I'm nice today. Let's go with Lloyd. He hasn't won a GRL race yet, and I think despite having some bad luck recently, especially for that, he deserves a bit of luck as well. So I think he can do well at Imola, and yeah, we'll see if one of our picks are correct. But for now, I'd say let's move over to Division 3, and here it's not really a surprise because Esselaham won for the fourth time in a row from S Game, and my fellow co-owner Formula FSM SLR Jam making it Alfa Romeo 3-4 with some Pikachu in P5. So both Williams and both Alfa Romeo in the top 5 here. Jabbo only P6 with Alpha Heated in P7. Wildy Mango in P8. So also both Aston Martins in the top 8. Kixora in P9 and Alex PC in P10. So actually we have 4 teams with both drivers in the top 10. So that's good for their constructors. Not too good for the other 6 teams in the driver standings. Not Jam, it's Ham, who takes the championship lead from Jabbo by 4 points after appeal decisions, which gave Ham the win in the end. So it's still very close, but now Jobbo is the one on the back foot. Then we've got Luke on 79 still, AG Nolan 76, and Jam on 73. Alpha Heated and some Pikachu on a split by 3 points. Mango in P8, Thomas in P9, and Yolki in P10. And for the constructor standings, Williams extends their lead to 32 points to Alpha Tauri. Then we've got Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, and Haas very close together within 18 points. Then we've got Mercedes on 117, Alpine on 95 only here, McLaren on 73, Red Bull 10 points behind, and Ferrari only on 33 points. Well, Division 3 will always end up on the same topic, don't we? It's Asalam.
Yeah, I mean, wow, what a run from Ham, and yeah, scoring Williams bags of points. So he's definitely my favorite driver right now. So, but yeah, I mean, a great performance from him, and obviously, I think easy. I think he's a newer driver, also doing very well, and the FSM, nice to see him up there as well. So yeah, I think a very interesting order. Maybe not for the championship, with Ham having so much momentum, but Jobbo isn't too far behind, so it's definitely possible that he can, at least hold on to the championship battle for a little while if he has a good run. So.
Yeah, definitely. And Division 3 also gained some new members, new drivers recently. For example, now also Division 5 driver BEASTIE got promoted to Division 3 after Monza. We'll have a look where he finished later, but so that's going to be interesting how he will cope with the current championship leader, Salaham, or if he will continue his winning streak, because at this rate it's a bit scary. Yeah, I mean, as said, sprint weekend, anything can happen. But as we said last week, if Ham wins both races in Italy, it might be very, very tough for Jobbo to come back in this fight, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, the ball's in Jobbo's court right now, and he needs to cook up something incredible for the rest of the season because Ham's pace is ridiculous. So yeah, we'll see what happens. As you said, as I always say, anything can happen, but I think most people have their money on Ham right now.
Yeah, I think also I don't need to ask now. I think both our money is on Ham, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd be crazy to not say Ham, but you know what? I'll throw a random name in now. I'm saying Jam's gonna win the next one. So
Oh, the one letter difference, I see.
yeah, yeah.
Well, he was quick as well. He was leading the Australian race. So, yeah, let's see how this pans out, or if it once again ages like milk, as you like to say last week. But for now, I'd say let's head over to Division 4. And yeah, it was another Alpine win. But the first time in Division 4 because Jakob KF22 picked up P1 in Monza from championship contender Jacob Brown, and Drizzle, the reserve driver for Alfa Romeo, picking up his first podium of the season. Krigmit coming P4 for AlphaTauri, so they are really putting on a charge now in the Constructors' Championship with Ronnie in P5, Jamie Hobbs, the championship leader, in P6, Erna in P7, James Colaco in P8 due to a 20-second time penalty after a reset to track. So that's ruined his race after finishing in P3. That F1 fan was actually that F1 driver this week and finished in P9 for Mercedes, with Tweaky Scorpion after penalties just getting 1 point in the end. In the driver standings, it's still Jamie Hobbs who leads with 162 points from Jacob Brown 133. So that gap is closing. I would definitely watch that until the end of the season. Then we've got Ronnie 2 points ahead now of Rex. So he gained a couple of positions. Andrew still on P5 with Jakob now in P6, and he still believes that he can get that championship for himself, as he is 2 points ahead of Ern and 3 ahead of Lewis, with Michael a couple of points behind, and Krigmit storming into the top 10 of the standings. Well, we assumed it was close in the Constructors' Championship, and it definitely is. Ferrari and AlphaTauri only split by 1 point. So the Scuderia really needs to recover after this couple of tough weekends compared to the other Italian team. While McLaren is on 183, so Ronnie doing well with Williams on 139 and Alpine on 126. So that's going to be crucial for the overall constructors between those two. Aston Martin then on 113, Haas on 97, Alfa Romeo on 87, Mercedes on 45, 6 points ahead from the backmarkers of Red Bull on 39 points. Well, 10 race winners in 13 rounds. It's absolutely amazing. As said, Alpine wins. That's good for their overall constructors after losing P1 this week to Williams. But it seems like this every week, where the driver standings seem quite well managed by Hobbs. But what you probably don't realize is that Jacob Brown, Ronnie, those drivers just slightly reduce the gap to him. And I think if this continues, especially if Ronnie outscores Jacob Brown a couple times, I think we could really be on for an amazing championship here. And especially in the final third of the season, I think everything can happen. And it really comes down to the mind of the drivers, maybe more than the actual driving, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, yeah, the top drivers in the standings are all converging. I think Hobbs will be a little nervous going into the next couple of races because his leaders diminished a little. But then again, he extended it the week before, so um, definitely looking to be interesting. Jacob has had really good form, for a lot of the season now. So he's definitely got to watch out. But Hobbs has been consistent, and obviously Ronnie, he's very quick as well. So yeah, definitely very interesting. I think really yeah, we're on for a good championship here, and obviously the constructors. Yeah, I think Ferrari are going to have to cook up some good strategies to be able to come out in front, which they're not known for. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm very much looking forward to how this all plays out. This division.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Alpha Tauri is in Division 4 a very strong team right now, and probably is one of the main reasons why Alpha Tauri isn't last anymore in the overall constructors, as they passed the only American team on the grid in Haas F1. So yeah, potentially they can make a charge in the overall constructors and pass Ferrari in the Division 4 Constructors Championship, because I think with Jacob Brown and Krigmit, they currently got two drivers who are probably within the top 6 fastest, at least in this division.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think yeah, they have a very strong lineup. They've seemed to be scoring a lot of points these recent races with 2-3 in Australia and 2-4 in Italy at Monza. And yeah, as you said, they'll definitely be looking to do what they can in the constructors, and maybe the overall will be in the back of their mind, because I'm sure no one wants their team to finish last, but someone has to. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And now this is probably the toughest one to guess, but who's your money on for Imola in this division?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've had 10 different race winners. Why not make it 11? And I'll say that James or wait, is it James? I don't know. James will win this time in the Mercedes. I don't know whether he's won before, but hopefully he hasn't, because
It was
then
his first
my point
race, and
before,
he got pole
yeah,
and finished third on track, so it's definitely possible. And
yeah, he
I'd
just
definitely go with a 11th race winner here. So I'm just gonna go with Krigmit, because he showed some solid form recently. P2 and P4 in Monza, and I obviously know where we raced last week. That must have been Australia. Uh, so yeah, he's doing well. So we'll see how this pans out. And Division 4 will obviously be streamed by Adam Reed, so I'll definitely watch that. And that's going to be an interesting race for sure. As we now head over to Division 5. It was Maka to take P1, and with that also the championship lead from the after this race promoted GSR Beastie with BEASTIE, the Belgian, in P3, gaining 11 positions from start to finish. So very nice for the Belgian. Paloma in P4 with Raku in P5 and Equa in P6. So another division where AlphaTauri was picking up some solid points. Triangle Lemon only P7 this time, with Duncan in P8, Wolf in P9 and Villarem in P10. In the driver standings now, as said, Maka leads again with a 12-point lead to Triangle Lemon and Heikki 10 points behind the McLaren driver. Then we've got Boosted on 86 and the 12 Romeos on 79 and 70 points. So especially for best of the rest, it's very close, with J Street on 68 behind. Then we obviously have the two Division 3 promoted Ferrari driver Chisa BEASTIE on 61 and Gaza Buchanan on 46, with Y2K on 35 just behind. In the team standings, McLaren still leads since I think that's round 1 pretty much, on 229 points. We've got Aston Martin on 178, Alpine on 166, and closely followed by Alfa Romeo, Red Bull, Williams and AlphaTauri, with Haas and Ferrari still with a chance for at least second. So it's really close here in the midfield especially, but also to the top. And with Triangle Lemon maybe not having the best of weekends, I think we could be on for an absolute treat here in the team standings, while Mercedes try to check out in the negative way. What do you make of Division 5 this week?
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible division. We've got a championship battle in the drivers and constructors, which isn't the case in all of the divisions. But yeah, I think very well done to Mecca, because he came from third in the championship straight up to first and has a little bit of a buffer because he scored obviously maximum points, whereas his rivals didn't do quite as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just great to see how close the top drivers are, and hopefully this continues right to the end, because I'm sure these three will want to have a great battle in one of the cleanest divisions in GRL.
Yeah, definitely, and they're all from different nations as well. So this feels like a little bit of a World Cup here. So that's definitely nice. But yeah, Maka seems to be the quickest driver, but he might not attend next time out at Imola, considering what I've seen from the attendance. So that's going to be interesting, as I also know that Heikki won't be able to attend every race, same as Triangular Lemon. So that's maybe where Boosted comes into play here. So it's all still quite open here, because at the end we might see someone like Boosted or Betsy suddenly being in this fight, and we're 5 drivers from 5 teams fighting for this, which would be an absolute crack. And as you said, I mean, constructors also very close, as said. McLaren could still have a couple of bad weekends, and then suddenly Aston Martin, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, they're all there. But yeah, now as BEASTIE is kind of away, he was the top favorite in the last couple of races. Yeah, do you think Maka, Lemon, or Heikki, someone of them three will win, or have we got someone else on your spreadsheet that might catch us off guard?
Yeah, well, obviously you said don't know who's attending and who's not, but I think hopefully it stays close, and it would be nice if a Williams driver in Boosted can take the win.
He's
And
racing for sure.
yeah,
He's
so I'm gonna go safe and go with Boosted because he'll be racing.
yeah, he's attended every race so far, I believe, almost. So yeah, also a very valid member of the league. He's in season 1, so yeah, would be good if he could pick up a win, maybe his first win of the season. I'm sure he would be definitely happy, because I'm not too sure if he actually has won a race yet in GRL. But yeah, I think Alpine won't be too happy about that prediction, because they obviously want to take back that championship lead in the overall constructors. But I guess we'll find out by Bray this week on the stream who will pick up the championship lead, or if Maka stays there. We don't know, but I think in the last 5 races or so, every time with a different championship lead after the race, then we had before the race. So I think that's definitely a race to look forward to. And yeah, if Blades says Boost is going to win, I assume he's going to win. We'll have a look at that. And we now head over to Division 6, where we, I think for the first time this season, had a full grid, and that made for a great race in Monza. And last week it was Callum Ludlow for Aston Martin who picked up the race win. This time it was his teammate Jack JT, aka J-Tilp, who won from WeAttax in P2. WeAttax also won the practice lobby, just ahead of Lone Retreat, so he definitely has some great pace around Italy. Ace finishes third. This is his first podium after round 1 at Britain this season, so he picked up some form again, which is definitely good to see after a really tough part of the season. Callum Ludlow in 4th, so Aston Martin still doing well. Ifad in P5, Dubs Game in P6, Silks in P7, Championship leader Echo once again only P8, so he seems to struggle now with 10th Cannon in P9, so he still gained points on his closest rival, so kind of fine out with that for the Haas driver. And Ali MUTD in P10. Yeah, I mean, driver standings, I guess we've accepted now. The gap is quite big and it doesn't change. Echo now leads by 81 points still. As is still, he extended the lead to 10th Cannon with Azrael still on 121, and then the two Aston Martins on 99 and 79. Ali MUTD level on points with Jack, and the attacks on 64, Panda on 58, and Ace comes back into the top 10 with 52 points, 4 points ahead of the other Mercedes driver of Simon Deff. In the team standings, now something major changed. Last week, we didn't have the current leader on top because last week we had Haas in P1, and now it's Aston Martin who jump up from P4 to P1 with 222 points, 5 points ahead of Haas, with Mercedes on 209 and Alpine on 201, Alfa Romeo on 143 and AlphaTauri and Williams on 101 points each. Ferrari on 76, Red Bull on 66, and McLaren only on 35, so McLaren struggling in Division 6. Well, I mean, Blades, Division 6 is definitely an interesting one now, because we said Echo is so consistent, so strong. I mean, he finished second last week, which is a great result still. But it seems like, especially Aston Martin, is trying to, at least in the constructor standings, pick up some solid points to at least win that. And you never know, with a strong face from any of them, or if they work together nicely, they might somehow at least mount a small challenge for the Haas driver.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think first of all, I want to say congratulations to Echo for being the first driver in the league to reach 200 points. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he is.
He is
And
the only one, yeah, definitely.
yeah, which is great. It shows how consistent he has been. But I think, as I mentioned last week, I think I said I wouldn't be surprised if Aston Martin takes a lead soon, and literally the race after they have. And I think, like I mentioned, you need two strong drivers, and like races like Monza, where it can be a bit of a lottery sometimes. If your one driver doesn't perform well, and you have a team where they have two drivers, so even if one driver doesn't do well, the other can score big points. Um, it will be costly for that team who only has one driver, and we've seen it happen right in front of our eyes here in this division, where Aston Martin have came from quite far behind in the standings to overtake them in just one race. So yeah, incredibly interesting constructors fight right now, and hopefully it will continue, and Aston Martin won't run away with it.
Yeah, I mean, 3 races ago they were almost 50 points behind Haas, and now they're leading by 5. So if they could do the same in the driver standings, we might have a more interesting championship ahead of us. But as said, I mean, you can't blame Echo for being too good, can you? He really delivered, and I think that's only fair in the end of the season if he wins the championship, because he's just dominated so far, and yeah, that's in the end what champions do. That's how Lewis Hamilton won many of his titles in real life, by just keeping it consistent, keeping mistakes to minimum, and picking up points every race weekend almost. But yeah, at least the constructors are definitely very, very close. And what do you think, Division 6 next week? Is Aston Martin cooking, or is someone else trying to pick up the trophy for P1?
Yeah, well, they certainly seem to be with the momentum they have right now. 1-4 in the last two. Oh no, 1-5 and 1-4 in the last two races, which is really good form. But yeah, I think I've made a couple crazy predictions. So I'm just gonna go left field. Someone I know from the Formula 2 division, 10th Cannon, is gonna win the next race.
Ooh, that I like that. Yeah, that's good. That's good for the championship. Um, because if he would win, and for example, like QTNF, not very likely due to the consistency, you have to say, but then it would at least open up the championship a little bit more. But as said, at this stage, for the competitors of Echo, it's probably just about picking up race wins at this stage and see what they can get out of the season in the end. Or do you see that any different?
Yeah, well, I think definitely here it will be quite difficult for anyone to claw back that many points. I think really once it gets to the point where you're relying on your opponent to make mistakes is when it's going to be really difficult to win a championship. So yeah, I think of course, like I always say, it's still possible, but I think based off the performances he's had so far, Echo is definitely at the moment, deserves the title. So, but you never know. Someone could have an incredible form towards the end of the season and really put the effort in to try and claw back the points. So, yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing what will happen, particularly in the constructors. So, yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully there's some good races left.
Yeah, and you have also have to say, I mean, it would be stupid by any of the constructors leaders, for example, Aston Martin, to just say we go all in now for a drivers' championship when they, with their division, have a good chance to have an impact on the overall constructors, because Aston Martin is third and they're definitely still in the fight. So you reckon that might also be a topic in their heads at this stage, or is it just too early to think about an overall constructors championship with so many points up for grabs?
Yeah, I mean potentially, but I think really when it comes to the overall, you can only really focus on how well you're doing yourself because you know, even if your division has scored maximum points in the weekend, if none of your other teammates score in the other divisions, it's not really a great weekend. So I think really when it comes to the overall, that hopefully they're looking at themselves and thinking we should do the best we can, and if the rest of our team can do well as well, then great.
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. And I think that's a good point to um, go from Division 6 over to the final Division 7, the final F1 division, where this time out, once again, it was It's Bright who wins in front of the Tifosi at Monza. So that's definitely great, especially because Ferrari also picked up third place with McMassey. So Browns the Buns was in the Ferrari sandwich. So it's basically three Italian teams, like three Italian cars, two Italian teams on the podium. So I think there can't be any better for the Tifosi at Monza. Spud Racing in P4 with Matthew in P5, Siguramato in P6, Rangers in P7, Alex in P8, Pastalta in P9, Terrific Gamer in P10 with Sparky's just about missing out on a point in the end, so that's unfortunate for him after a crash at Parabolica. In the driver standings, still Kieran on top, but it's Bright closes that gap by 25 points, as said, 26 actually, with pole position, and he has only a 33-point gap now, so that's just over a race win, and that's not definitely possible for the Ferrari driver so he can smell the chicken. With McMassey on 92 points and Matthew on 84.5. Then we've got Clipscomb on 74, so he's not moving any further recently. Browns the Buns already on 64, so that's definitely someone Blade is looking out for, I assume. With Wargasm on 58 points, Spud Racing on 48, and last week's race winner Terrific Gamer on 45. In the team standings, Ferrari now have officially taken over with 284 points. McLaren 21 behind, with Mercedes on 157, just 2 points ahead of Aston Martin. We've got Red Bull just about ahead of the sister team AlphaTauri with 89 to 87 points. We've got Haas and Alpine, Williams and Alfa Romeo all within 10 points still to really fight it out for the places 7, 8, 9 and 10. But yeah, in Division 7, usually a couple of incidents happen. At the start, we had someone stopping, if I remember correctly, because there were some illegal overtakes. So a lot of chaos at the beginning, but It's Bright could pull through with a race win with pole position. And don't actually know about the fastest lap, but he's definitely still in this championship fight.
Yeah, certainly. I think Italian dream with 3 Italian cars on the podium at Monza, and I'm sure, they're very happy about that. But yeah, I remember a couple of weeks ago we were thinking this championship could be done, but all of a sudden Kieran has a bad race and It's Bright wins the race. And yeah, I think the championship, it just shows how quickly it can swing. One race and the championship's back on. And yeah, also interesting battle behind as well for P3. I think there are, a lot of drivers that can still get P3, so I'm sure they'll be looking to perform as well as they can in order to get into P3. I'm sure they'll be looking to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between the top two drivers is just amazing, like how they actually act during the races, because Kieran always seemed like the guy who is really consistent, picks up points wherever he can. As said, I think he had 4 times in a row a third place finish, while It's Bright, pretty much it's all or nothing for him. He wins or he isn't there in the top 10. So yeah, for comparison, Kieran's got 1 race win with 174 points, while It's Bright has got 141 points but has 5 race wins to his name. So that's actually ridiculous. 5 race wins after 13 rounds. That's more than a third of the races have been won by him. So it's quite similar to Division 4 or Division 3 with in Division 4 Jacob Brown, or Division 3 Essela Ham, or potentially Div 2 with DISTANTBARD, where suddenly the hunter is really on form and pushing for it, and also seems to have a little bit more pace. Yeah, that race might prove costly in the end for Kieran, because I think he just lost it on his own at the exit of Ascari. I mean, at these things that happen in the championship, do you think that might sit now in the mind of Kieran, thinking what could have been if?
Yeah, yeah, potentially. I think we'll see how well he responds to his mistake in the following races. He can still, um, if Bright is making the mistakes instead and going win or nothing, he can certainly build up a little bit of a lead again. But I don't know. He could be getting, if he cracks under pressure a little, the championship could well and truly be on. So yeah, I think for both drivers, it's quite crucial for them to be consistent and finish as high as they can, because if It's Bright can be consistent and attend as many races as he can, he definitely has a good shot because his pace is very good. But the same with Kieran, if he avoids crashing for the rest of the season, he could. It's obviously it's not over for him. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's actually our F1 divisions wrapped up. So it's time for our F2 division. which was this time obviously at Monza, like the F1 races, and with a 21 car grid with Adam Reed streaming everything. So definitely not stream the back, watch the back, because that was a very, very interesting race weekend, and it weren't really the obvious drivers being on top. In the sprint race, Darrow started pole and won the race. That's quite the boring side, while DISTANTBARD, Blade, Equa, and Mia decided that 4 wide into the turn 1 chicane might be a really good idea, but it worked out, to be fair, and we had some great fun racing each other, and many, many battles, climbing through the field and someone losing the rear. So it all happened in the dry sprint, where it started raining in the end. It didn't affect anything, though, luckily. In the feature race, we had a rare sight this time because many people started on softs. The two virtuosis, Dara and myself, started on mediums, with Gibson having a bad race in the first couple of laps by being last. But then a safety car came out and it turned the page completely, while Dara had to hang out the soft. Everyone else was going on to the mediums, who would have definitely lasted to the end. I was just staying out the mediums, hoping for another safety car. And yeah, the safety car was quite messy. I think Blade will agree with me there. Not not really dirty, but just a classic Monza restart where everyone is really close to each other, trying to make a move, especially with those tighter cars. And in the end, it's Bright, the Division 7 driver, who won for VAR, and it was a VAR 1-2 because FG Trait finished P2. Gibson finished P4, just behind Blade due to a time penalty. So the championship leader extends his gap in the feature race, while Dara finished, I believe, P7. I picked up P11, just behind the points positions. So yeah, it sounds probably more boring than it definitely was, because I think Blade, you'll agree with me that this was a cracker to watch back, especially because there was some amazing battles, weren't there?
Yeah, definitely. I may not have won, but it was probably one of the most enjoyable races, two races that I've done on this game, because it's just, overtakes. I mean, it's not nice to be taken up, but then you overtake a bunch of people again, and you don't know who's going to win. You have, as it seems like in real life, you had a surprise winner in the feature race as well. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm not sure how many times this will happen again. We're looking at the tracks, but hopefully we do have another crazy race like this, because it was brilliant. And yeah, yeah, I think yeah, very much enjoyed the races.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's also the perfect point to basically round this podcast off. I mean, in the championship, nothing major changed. Blade still leads from Dara, myself, DISTANTBARD, and Gibson, and yeah, that's pretty much the Monza podcast wrapped up. Blade and myself, thank you for watching. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one after the sprint weekend at Imola, where we'll definitely see some interesting races, especially Division 1, Division 2, or top division, but also F2, maybe Division 7, Division 4, 5, and 6, still very, very close. Well, 6, mainly constructors, but you never know what will happen to Echo. Division 3, a newly formed grid, what will happen there? I mean, almost every race is streamed, and I'm sure you do not want to miss any of those races. So definitely tune in for a couple of them, all racing on Monday 8 p.m. and Division 1 on 8:30 p.m. And on Wednesday, as said, we have our F2, so definitely have a look there, and see you in the next one.